Hello, hello, everyone.
Hello.
Welcome to match day 1 of season 4 of the Pokemon tournament. I know the wait was very long for everyone, but I'm so excited to actually kick off the season once again. I'm joined by a wonderful panel over here. Shoutouts to Matt, to Sev, to AL, and Elibungo for joining today. And hello to everyone in the chat as well. Thank you so much for joining. People, it's actually time. The tournament has begun already, and we're going to have a lot of live battles today, a lot of exciting matchups, and a lot to play for still. So let me come to Seb first. What are your thoughts coming into the tournament, and what are your expectations?
Yeah, my expectation is semifinals, bare minimum, but of course I want to go even further than that. I feel pretty confident about beating Psychick, but of course there are still some nerves there that you have to battle first.
Yeah, of course. I think that the main thing is that you cannot underestimate anyone in this competition, in any competition, but in this one specifically, it's one in which anything can happen. Mats, you also have your live battle today. You've been here since season 1. What are your thoughts coming into yet another season?
It's time to make my mark on the bigger players, and then also I think in a group where looking at today, I probably have to win to give myself the best chance at advancing. And yeah, I could finish maybe absolutely anywhere in the tournament. Probably not the final, but semi-finals the minimum aim. Time to take myself forward.
For sure, definitely. Elibungo, obviously, you made your debut last season. You made it all the way to the semifinals. That got you into Pot 1 for this draw. You still got handed a pretty tough group, but what are the expectations for this season?
Maybe like quarterfinals or maybe semifinals for me.
We'll see. You did bring a pretty similar squad to what you had last time around, so a lot of familiar faces on every team, honestly, but I like to see people just sticking to their favorites and sticking to what they know. And obviously, we are joined once again by AL.
So Spectre is backstage.
Hello.
Spectre is also backstage. So, AL, thank you so much for joining once again. The champion of season 3, of season 2, I may say. Returning now for season 4 after taking a bit of a hiatus in season 3. Back on tour for this tournament.
I'm very excited to play again. My return officially. I would say my expectations as of now are kind of short term. I just want to qualify from my group because my group is probably the group of death. So my goal would be just to qualify just for now, and then I can see later.
Fair enough. And Spectre, thank you so much for joining as well. Well, you also have a lot of expectations for this season. What do you think of being back again in the Pokemon tournament after your debut last season?
And I think my expectations really is to go out and win the whole thing. I think the group of death is definitely not the best place to start. I know that it's going to be a lot of fun for everybody else to watch. And I think maybe when the whole tournament is done, I'll have a bit of fun watching that back as well. But I think I want to go out there, I want to win the whole thing, and I want to be able to have some fun as well.
For sure, definitely. Well, it's finally time for us to begin, but it wouldn't be a tournament, this opening day of a tournament, if you didn't have some loud, banging, basic white girl pop music playing. So for all that, we're going to go and head over very quickly into our opening ceremony. Welcome to Season 4 of the Pokemon Tournament. For the opening ceremony, give it up for Cambionica.
¿Estás vivo, Buenos Aires? Yo soy un guerrero, no doy más. Sospecho que el tiempo se nos va a acabar. Estás algo loca y sos tan drástica. Deja que la noche nos proponga más. Decime que sí, hace como yo, a ver si sos tan genial. Persigo tus ojos por la capital. Me gusta que seas tan dramática. Tus ojos dibujan una eternidad. Y está muy bien así, por hoy no pienses más. Yo sé que lo necesitas. Me quedo con vos, yo sigo de largo, voy a buscar. Qué noche mágica, ciudad de Buenos Aires. Se queman las horas de esta manera, nadie me espera. Cómo me gusta verte caminar así. Me quedo con vos, yo sigo de largo, voy a buscar. Me mata cómo te mueves por todas partes. Se queman las horas de esta manera, nadie me espera. Cómo me gusta verte caminar así. Algunos momentos de esta eternidad me son suficientes para
Yeah, that's it,
recordar.
folks. And then we got the
Tus
next.
piernas bailando son tan mágicas. La noche se presta para
I'm happy
mucho
to watch
más.
this on
Y está
Match.
muy bien así, por hoy no pienses más. Yo sé que lo necesitas. Arriba todo el mundo, carajo. Me quedo con vos, yo sigo de largo, voy a buscar. Qué noche mágica, ciudad de Buenos Aires. Se queman las horas de esta manera, nadie me espera. Cómo me gusta verte caminar así. Me quedo con vos, yo sigo de largo, voy a buscarte. Me mata cómo te mueves por todas partes. Se queman las horas de esta manera, nadie me espera. Cómo me gusta verte caminar así. Qué noche mágica, ciudad de Buenos Aires. Cómo me gusta verte caminar así. Me quedo con vos, yo sigo de largo, voy a buscarte. Me mata cómo te mueves por todas partes. Se queman las horas de esta manera, nadie me espera. Cómo me gusta verte caminar así. Gracias.
There we go, everyone. Thank you so much for sticking by. Everyone wanted the show. Everyone decided that we had to up the production value of the tournament, and so we had a packed Estadio Monumental there in River Plate for the opening ceremony. Thank you so much to everyone who made it possible, who took the Pokemon tournament to where it is today. And without any more delays, excuse me, I think we're ready to begin with our first few battles, because I think that both Juliana and Elibungo are setting up. Eli, any updates on, did Juliana send you a challenge already?
I'm getting logged on the Pokemon Showdown.
Fair enough. We also have AL and SAVUTIAN here in the chat as another alternative for the first battle. We definitely have come very, very far from those 6 people who just wanted to play some Pokemon over on AD's channel. We're trying to up the production value for this one with the intros, with the editing. So yeah, thank you so much for everyone who's shown the support for the new style that the league is trying to go for. So Eli, have you guys logged into Showdown?
Yeah, I told her to send the battle request.
All right.
If if it's not going to take much time, we could show Eli's lineup in the meantime.
Yeah, that's actually a good idea, yeah, because that's something that Elibungo also decided to do for this season as well, something that we encourage other people to do. It was to make their squad announcements as well. And so we have this over here. Let me zoom in a little bit because we have the GOAT Porygon 2 once again returning for Elibungo's team. We have Sergio Rico the Minior with the Super Saiyan hair. We have Tourist the Necrozma with the Boca Juniors hat and a mate on one of his hands. We have Sandslash, who was obviously Boswell traded for Alolan Sandslash in the transfer window, holding the Gold Cup trophy. Melody, the Meloetta, another returning member for Elibungo's team, and also still holding that grenade. And also Xing Xing, the two pairs of swords, that is Doublade, one of the new additions to his team. So already a very strong lineup to go up against Juliana on this first match day. Shout out to Cooley as well. Thank you so much for joining. Vic, one of our founding members as well. Spectre, like, any thoughts on Elibungo's lineup?
Looks strong. A bit questionable about like the lack of hazards, but I think that there's a good amount of bulk physically, especially with the combination of Porygon 2 and Bustle. And then going on the attacking, you can definitely get strong very quickly with Meloetta, with your Shell Smash Minior, and of course Necrozma, who, while maybe not eating up Solgaleo, can still be very problematic.
Definitely, yeah.
I think it's interesting that he has 2 pre-evolutions.
Exactly, yeah. Porygon 2 and Doublade, 2 Pokemon that can still evolve further, but are obviously boosted by the Eviolite item to become defensive monsters. We've seen it last season put to great effect. And obviously, because there's no items clause, you can have both Eviolites if you choose to run them. We also have an Ultra Beast making its appearance in Boswell. He was a late addition to Team Elibungo, and obviously we know that Ultra Beasts can get out of hand because of their Beast Boost ability. They can boost their stats after picking up a KO. And so Boswell could put on some great work. Sev, you specifically, I think that you got quite worried seeing Boswell getting picked up late into a transfer window, considering that Eli is also in your group.
Yeah, that I mean, I had actually prepped a first draft team for our battle, and then the Boswell forced me to make some adjustments.
I'm becoming.
Yeah, definitely. It's a Pokemon that if you leave unaccounted, it can absolutely run away with the game. We're still waiting for Eli and Juliana to sort out some technical difficulties to actually log into Showdown and send the request. In the meantime, Matt, obviously we know that both Porygon 2 and Meloetta were very successful for Eli's success last season. Do you think that the new team members can keep up?
I don't know enough about 3 of the newcomers, but Doublade will be one to watch as well. The speed is very deceptive when it has is it Secret Sword? What's the priority move?
Shadow Sneak, I think. Right?
Yeah, Shadow Sneak. That can potentially catch Juliana and maybe another opponent later down the line off guard. So I think this is a good team, and one from my end to look out for would be Doublade, simply because of that Shadow Sneak and quite a strong attack.
I will say though that the team is quite slow.
It is a bit of a slow team, but obviously I don't want to spoil any strategies, but I wonder if Elibungo is trying to go for a trick room strategy, considering that you have both Porygon 2 and Necrozma being 2 Pokemon that can actually learn that move. Would actually be something that we actually saw last season put to great use, the trick room strategy. So we'll have to see, obviously, reversing the speed order of the battle. I don't know where Doodle is, but like he should be joining us pretty soon because he has a live battle. Actually, no, he doesn't have a live battle to do, so maybe he just wasn't available to be here with us. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on, Vic. It's great to have you on. We actually did get a Pokemon tournament in Buenos Aires before GTA 6. That's crazy. And we're bound to have a Season 5 somewhere else before that game comes out too, because at this rate, I think that people just want to see it coming, and it's amazing to see just how many people have become interested in the Pokemon tournament. Makes me super happy. We're still waiting for Elibungo up for the first battle.
Elibungo sent a screenshot, and he just needs Juliana to confirm the request, and then of course send the link to us.
Yeah, so we're almost there, and we'll be a moment away from having our first battle in this new season. Obviously, this battle corresponds to Group B. Apart from Elibungo and Juliana, that group is completed by Bull and Psykick, who are going to be playing later this stream. So we'll have to see. The result of this game is obviously going to have huge replications on the result of this group. This is basically like the World Cup format, or like the previous World Cup format, or the Euros format with 16 teams. A loss in the first match, say, it's not that you're eliminated. You still have a lot of life in the group, but it does mean that your second game is potentially an elimination game. So it puts a lot of pressure to actually go and perform in that first game. The new format, I think, it's going to test a lot of the skill of our players. It's less forgiving than last season, at least in my opinion. So, yeah, Psychick, you're going to have a tall order in your next battle. We know just how experienced Sev is, but you cannot write anybody off. Like, I was reading this chat message earlier from Savutian. You cannot write yourself off, even if you're going up against one of the strongest opponents. You still, at the end of the day, just like in football, it's 11 against 11. Here it's 6 against 6, and anything can happen on the day. You have to believe in your preparation and in the Pokemon that you've decided to draft for your own team, the strategies that you've cooked up in the kitchen before the battle, and yeah, just play your cards right once you're actually there. And that's all you need for a single result, because that's, as well, as these are single games, a single result is everything that you need to do to actually progress out of this group.
Eli, Juliana asks if you could send your request again.
Yeah, I did. She didn't receive it. I'm so sorry that it's taking so long. There. Okay.
Right, quick scoreline predictions for the game or the battle.
It's a tough one because it's our first time seeing Juliana battle in an actual game. Yes, let me show the screen and let me put Elibungo on the background. My quick prediction is going to be a 4-0 victory for Elibungo.
Yeah, me too.
I have 3-0.
So here we have it. Juliana's leading off with Manaphy, while Elibungo leads. I don't know why Minior is not loading. There it is.
You haven't shared your screen yet.
We also see the...
Yeah, you haven't shared the screen.
I have not. Oh, hold up. Because I was sharing the screen, but Streamer always has to actually put it in the active spot. So yeah, turn 2. Porygon 2 switching out. Obviously, the lead had been very favorable to Juliana with that mana fee against the Minior, but Porygon 2 comes in to tank the water type move, and now Terrakion coming in to tank this discharge. We see that Juliana is rocking up with Mew, Charizard, Haxorus, Articuno, Terrakion, and Manaphy, as that is a great switch from Elibungo into the Ghost type that is the Doodle to resist that close combat.
Pretty obvious. I would have gone for a more like middle ground move there.
I think close combat is the
Switching
middle
out
ground move.
into
That's the thing.
Mew.
Wrong Iron Head does about 30. Shadow
There's
Sneak
the
does a little more. And there's,
Shadow Sneak,
oh boy.
but Mew has the Willow with. Yeah, that's a lot of damage from the Shadow Sneak, but now this Double is basically useless. Now that it's burned, it's not doing as much damage as before.
It's still a physical wall, so you can still play around it.
Mew is going to switch out into the Mana Fee, and this Shadow Sneak is going to do absolutely nothing.
Watch out for Tail Glow now.
There's no leftovers on the Manaphy.
Ice Beam onto the Porygon 2 does not get a freeze. And we know that this Porygon 2 has discharge, so it has a super effective move, and it uses it. Manaphy takes out a lot of damage.
Why she didn't just go for a water
now
move?
This Porygon 2 is exposed.
Why use Ice Beam?
Surf and critical hit doesn't matter. And Porygon 2 is the first one to fall. The GOAT. And here comes Necrozma to try and claim revenge. Juliana actually taking the first knockout in this season. And we'll have to see how Elibungo can respond.
Can do a lot of damage.
With Necrozma coming in. Charizard comes in, but the Dragon Dance.
Here comes Photon Geyser.
Photon Geyser that we know that is a move that adapts to your higher attacking stat. So yeah, Photon Geyser one-shots the Charizard, wipes it off the face of the earth. Huge damage coming through from the Necrozma here. Here comes Articuno, but just how much can Articuno do? And yeah, Necrozma is going to be faster. The Iron Head goes through, doesn't flinch, and lands a Toxic. So now this puts Necrozma on a timer, but this Necrozma is doing so much damage that Elibungo has turned this game around. 2 knockouts for this Necrozma already.
Another Iron Head. And here's knockoff, so if there's no Culver. If there's no Culver, but it probably goes down.
More Dragon Dances will be fired, but and yeah, it's enough to pick out the knockout. 3 kills for this Necrozma already, and Juliana is running out of Pokemon, although the Toxic is starting to rock up. Manaphy comes in, but is this the correct play? Because Necrozma is just faster and takes out the Manaphy. Juliana, just like that, down to their final 2 Pokemon.
Yeah, there's room for pretty much like another.
Haxorus comes in.
He's Photon.
We'll have to see if Necrozma is faster than the Haxorus. It is to act out on this Necrozma, but I think that the damage has already been done. This Haxorus is almost dead. Yeah, and Minior comes in. It's immune to the Earthquake due to being a flying type on top of a rock type.
I'm surprised not playing Buzzwole because it's such a great physical matchup.
Yeah, but now the Minior with the 2 speed boost.
Oh no.
It's not faster, but Juliana goes for the Earthquake, which is not affected to the flying type that is the Minior.
No.
And the Acrobatics is enough to actually, if he's going to be faster. It is. Iron Head, does he get the flinch? He does get the flinch. But now the shield's down, and now Minior will surely be faster. There's the Earthquake, and that's going to be it. Elibungo winning 4-0 in this first match after going down early, manages to bring it back with an amazing performance from Necrozma.
I think there's probably still a chance if you go for your Dragon Stab instead of Earthquake on Minior. I don't know why you go for that because you're not going to switch. You're only it's outright losing move. I don't understand it.
Yeah, I do believe that it was a bit of a mistake on Juliana's side, but Elibungo taking advantage of it, and we have the winner over here to try to give him his thoughts. So Eli, first match, you get the win. How was the game from your perspective?
Well, obviously, it's always really good to start with an early win. Like, when I saw the Manaphy out, like, I thought it was going to be a tail glow Manaphy. So I kind of panicked a little bit. So it could have been, like, tail glow, like that.
I don't know why she used Ice Beam instead of Surf. Ice Beam only hits Manure for super effective damage, but then Surf also does the same thing.
Yeah.
His Surf is just strong.
But Juliana has always been open that she's inexperienced, and this was her debut.
Yeah,
She
it
started
was
off
a
really
debut.
well.
Yeah, it was a good start, a good lead, and good to take Porygon out. But yeah, once Necrozma got going, there were no answers basically, and a few fumbles. And I think that against a trainer like Elibungo, that's all you need for things
99.
to get out of control. So that completes the first battle of the tournament, the first battle in Group B. Elibungo taking a commanding lead in the group, and Juliana is going to have to fight for their lives in the second match day. And with that, we can move on to the second match of Group B, which should be Sebbo against Psykick.
Yeah,
Let's
do
have
this.
the challenge ready. All right, let me see. Whenever the link is available.
Wait, I haven't sent it yet.
Yeah, usually I do agree. The Willow was a good tech to try and negate the Doodle, but in the end, Eli didn't even need contributions from the Doodle to win.
Do I challenge in Nat Dex draft or national Dex?
Nat Dex draft is preferred. Yeah, Charizard flew like a pile of cards in a tornado. Didn't last very long out there with the Necrozma after the Dragon Dance. Okay, Mike, thank you so much for joining. We're going to have the battle between Seb and Psychick beforehand, and then, yeah, we can move on to the battle in the Estadio Monumental that we saw a few moments ago between myself and Mike to kick off Matchday 1.
All right, here's the link.
Okay, we're here for the second battle of the stream. It's going to be Sebbo against Psychick. Another huge deciding match for this Group B. Let me put Seb on the background and actually share my screen this time. As here we have the lineups. Seb with Tank Growth, Alomomola, Nidoking, Salamence, Miltank, and Zeraora. Meanwhile, Psychick with Azumarill, Salazzle, Mamoswine, Toxicroak, Bronzong, and Livani. So obviously, Seb with a lot of familiar faces like the Nidoking, like the Alomomola, Tank Growth, another tanky Pokemon that has Regenerator. Salamence, he used it during the playoffs to not great effect, but we know that it's a very strong Pokemon. And Psychick with a lot of heavy hitters and some tools to his disposal, like the Bronzong, and the Livani has the Sticky Web. So we're going to see what Psychick's approach is for this battle.
A lot of pink
I'll
blobs.
say 4-0 to Seb.
So here's Levani.
Yeah, off the bat with the Livani and the Sticky Webs.
Web
But there's the Fire Punch, quite effective, but still able to survive. This Livani, huge survival right there to actually get an extra turn to do something more than setting up the Sticky Webs. The Miltank, I believe that Seb was expecting this lead if he was carrying Fire Punch on the Miltank. Livani is gonna get a launch
it's a
pad.
resist.
That's
It's a
quad resist.
Oh boy.
Seb for sure expecting a switch on that turn, potentially to the Toxic Rogue. The fighting type would have been weak to the Earthquake. And now Livani fires up yet another launch and
Another one.
reduces the attack of his
It's elements
elements.
-1.
Yeah, and it's something to
It's
note.
got
heavy
one
duty
boosted as
boots,
well.
doesn't it?
Yeah, something to note.
We don't know. Go
Yet
for it again.
another
It's
launch.
-2.
It's 2. But
I think
something to
knockoff
note,
was free
these
there.
elements is Moxie.
It's only at -1.
That Livani did a lot of damage.
Yeah, that Livani did a lot, set up the webs and put both Miltank and Salamence to half health. Here comes the Mammoth
Oh,
Swine.
this is a good counter to Salamence.
It is.
Definitely a
and
good check. Maybe not a counter though. But
In
now
fact,
it's
this
pretty much forced
matchup
for the
last
switch.
season gave me one of my best moments.
However,
Good
the
switch.
switch into a Lomomola to prevent the Ice Shard is good from Sev.
We should preserve
And
the
now
Mammoth Swine.
Good turn, but
Block.
there's the Dry's King, so Toxic Rogue
Ooh.
immune to the water type moves, and that forces a Lomomola to stay in and tank this Gong Shot. Gets poison on this way. The Wish comes in, and a Lomomola is going to be able to switch, but we're seeing some great stuff out of Psychick, even though he's down a Pokemon at the moment. He's putting in amazing work. The speed drops on the Nidoking. He's going to attack this Gunshot, but he's going to receive the Wish from a Lomomola to go back to full HP. But yeah, now that this Nidoking has reduced speed. Oh, but that
Oh,
switch into
no.
Talas is
Oh,
no
dear.
good.
Oh no.
The Earth Power just takes it out in one hit. Didn't expect the Earth.
Bronzong has Levitate that was still free.
It should have been a switch to Bronzong if he brought it with Levitate. Here comes the Bronzong, but it
Now
might be a
comes,
little
and now
too
it's
late.
just gonna
You've
take a
lost your-
Fire Blast.
Yeah, unless you have something like Heat Proof instead of Levitate. Like that's my only
But that's
explanation for
undoubtedly
that
really
play.
bad.
No, that's a lot of damage. And the Earthquake, even with the critical
Ooh.
hit, is not enough
Oh.
to take out the Nidoking.
Why didn't he use Psychick?
I don't know. He was
Might not
going
have
for
it.
a physical Bronzong build here with the Earthquake. The critical hit was actually so close to knocking out the Nidoking. Seb has low HP on a lot of Pokemon, but Psychic is down to his final 3 already. This Nidoking has reduced speed, so it's pretty much a sitting duck. And here comes a Sumaril. First appearance for this Pokemon. We have to see how.
Probably
Seb
don't need to
manages
go
close
Aqua
it
Jet
down.
here, because given that Nidoking's caught in the sticky web.
Yeah, probably a Sumaril is straight up faster, so there's no need for the Aqua Jet.
And even if
But in-
Seb switches out, you can get more damage onto the next Pokemon.
He goes for the Aqua Jet anyway.
Okay.
Seb lets the Nidoking go down.
Take one.
That's the first
Here comes Tangrowth.
kill for Psychic. But yeah, here comes Tangrowth. And Tangrowth actually has a really good matchup against both Azumarill and Mamoswine. But here comes Toxic Rogue. It's pretty much the only switch you can make. The Giga Drain does not
But
do a
now
lot of
he's
damage.
pretty much carte blanche to keep using Gunk Shot.
Yeah, but who comes in to tank the Gong Shot? I think that Seb is in a position where, the Gong Shot misses though. And here comes the Earthquake. Not enough to take out
Still
the
might be a
Toxic Rogue.
chance.
Still might be a chance, but I don't think Gong Shot is going to be enough to one-shot. Tangrowth is so bulky, and there's the Giga Drain to get the knockout. That Gong Shot means so huge to actually keep Tangrowth alive in this turn. And now the Grass type is free to do
And here's
a
where
lot of
Salazzle
damage.
probably would have won the game for him. Because he doesn't have a poison resist anymore.
Now Mamoswine should be faster and should be able to knock out with an Ice-type move. There's the Icicle Crush, but the switch into the Alomamol is clutch. And now you do have a water resist in the back, but if you're Psychic, you're going to be losing a lot of HP, and Steph can just heal with the Regenerator from both of his Pokemon, so he just goes for the Earthquake, tanks the Flip Turn, which
That's correct.
crits as well. So it's a lot of damage, and Alomomola gets out of dodge. He's going to heal with the Regenerator. And yeah, Seb is in a great position to try and close this game out. Let's see what the choice from Seb is to try
I
and
don't think
close
there's
this one
really
out.
much of a good Pokemon he can switch to. The best option was really to try to use Scald and force that damage onto Mamoswine, because if their Aurora is Zeraora is going to take a lot of damage if it doesn't have Shuka Berry.
We'll have to see if Zeraora is actually faster, even despite the sticky webs. It's not. But there's the Shuka Berry. You called it. Resisted Earthquake. Fires up with the close combat. There's a Choppleberry, but it's not enough to save him. Psychick had actually come prepared for the fighting type damage, but it was not enough. Mamoswine still goes down. Here comes Azumarill, the final Pokemon for Psychick. This Zeraora is a sitting duck, but yeah, just the easy switch into the Alomomola. Let's see if Psychick called it. No, he did not. The Aqua Jet does not do a lot of damage.
He has to
He's
buy
ran
I wonder if a
knock up
player
on
was written off.
Azumarill in the past, so that might be the best thing to do for him now.
There's a player up, and he does
Ooh,
take out
okay.
the Alomomola. Take some damage from the Rocky Helmet. Tangrowth comes in, and yeah, I don't think there's a way for Azumarill to one-shot this Grass-type Pokemon. I think that Seb has this one in the back. There's the Ice Punch, but even then it has the Yacheberry. Gets frozen! He actually got the freeze!
Oh my goodness.
This is Psychick's way back into the game. If Tangrowth can remain frozen for a few turns, Psychick may actually do this. The Yacheberry has been consumed, so this Ice Punch does a lot more damage, but Tangrowth swaps out. He unfreezes, and the Giga Drain does a lot of damage. He heals for a ton. Psychick is gonna need yet another freeze if he wants to be in this. A
I
crit
think
is
if
not
you're
gonna be
Seb, you
enough.
switch.
There's the crit, and there's the
No,
freeze.
oh,
Another crit and another freeze.
Oh
No
my
way.
god!
Psychick is clutching this one up. This Azumarill is putting in so much work. There's the Aqua Jet. It's
Oh, no.
not enough damage.
Oh
Why did he
dear!
go for Aqua Jet?
Oh,
Why did he go for
No,
Aqua
that's
Jet?
so
Ice
close.
Punch.
Oh my god.
Oh no.
Psychick was
no.
actually making the comeback. Why did he go for Aqua Jet?
He should have Ice Punch.
And just like that, Seb takes the game. Wow. Wow. Already absolute cinema from the second battle. What an amazing show from these two trainers. It came down to the wire. Like, Seb had that one in the bag. And due to some really good luck on Psychic's side, that Azumarill was bringing it back. And I don't understand that final choice of the Aqua Jet, because that Ice Punch would have been enough to take the Tangrowth out. And then your Azumarill is in a good position to win the game against Salamence, against the Alomomola.
I think
the
the
Alomomola
only
was
thing
already
which would
gone.
have tanked Azumarill's hit would have been Milk Tank. If he went for Ice Punch, he could have actually won that game.
No, he couldn't. Salamence comes in
Oh yeah.
and kills with dual wing beat.
Anyway, Seb, that was a hard-earned victory. I think that you were in control for the entirety of it, but that Livani put in work at the start, and yeah, Azumarill was trying its best to bring it back in the end.
Yeah, I got a bit of a rough start. I predicted that he would lead with Livani, and had the fire punch for that, so that's a bit of prep I'm happy with. But then I over predicted and just went for the earthquake, even though I could just kill it with a second fire punch. And of course, I mean, two freezes with ice punch is absolutely ridiculous, but I'm happy that I was able to win despite that.
Yeah, obviously.
I mean, there were times I was extremely nervous, but I won in the end. And now I've effectively secured advancement because, yeah, I mean, from what I've been able to tell, Psychick is better than Juliana.
One would expect that a win against Juliana would be enough to progress after this battle, but yeah, it was an amazing game, very nerve-wracking. So we're gonna play Primar Theta Ball with the two Regen Mons. Yeah, I mean, just the Regenerator both on the Alomomola and the Tangrowth is gonna be a problem for everyone in this tournament. Told me to leave Pokemon, I did the right thing and left her. Good on you, mate. Good on you. Stay true to yourself. And yeah, wow, what a battle that was. Insane stuff.
GG, Psychick.
All right, with that out of the way, I think that it's time for the opening game. Mike, can you put your Showdown username on the Discord server so that I can send you a challenge, and so we can have the first battle in Group A, the opening match in the Estadio Monumental. While you do that, I also have to share the lineup that I put up. This is not it. So let me find the file for my lineup. Oh, I think I have it in my flash drive, so I'm actually quite stupid. Anyway, Matt has sent the Mike has sent the username, so I will go to find them. But I'm also getting notice that we have the images from the players walking out onto the Estadio Monumental, and I think that the fans have prepared something special for the home team, the champion team, coming into this home turf tournament. Let's see what the live images from the Estadio Monumental look like. So there we have it, the home fans ready at the rhythm of muchachos for this home game. It's going to be absolutely massive. And so I wasn't able to find my lineup, but I'll be able to share it afterwards, after the game. For now, I've sent the link. I don't think that anyone else can actually show the screen, so I'm disappointed in that. So maybe I just have to share the screen from my perspective, and then I'll just let you guys commentate on the game.
No, you
Yeah,
can
I'm
do
using
live
a different
commentary of your
device.
own battle. That would be insane.
No, I'm not doing live commentary of my own battle. I'm not.
Any volunteers for commentary, like main commentator?
I can provide some insight at least.
Still there, Spectre?
Yeah, I mean, Renk's team is incredibly strong, very defensively solid. It's more defensively oriented than offensively.
Maybe you can have somebody else share their screens. That way we don't have. That way we have like the neutral view.
I don't think we had that option now. It's a bit of an.
Does anyone have the option down there on StreamYard to share their own screen? Is that a thing?
I don't. I think this is fine.
All right, we'll just rock this.
Yeah, Renk's team extremely solid. Mike has a couple of good mons, mainly Zapdos and Chansey, but I don't really see a win condition against Renk here. But it's going to be interesting to see how Mike performs in his first Pokemon tournament. Leading with Landorus T and instantly switching out as the Blacephalon explodes. Does some nice damage, but I don't know if it's worth it to sacrifice it entirely. Chansey comes out.
Huh?
Instant loss.
Blizzard on the Shanxi.
I
Interesting.
thought we didn't
Yeah.
allow. I thought we didn't allow terrestrialization.
Yeah. It's not allowed.
Let's play.
Yeah, this is it's not allowed. But I think Renk is going to be a gentleman and play it out regardless.
So back in the circuitry, there's a big option to go for. I mean, knockoff is very free here, but then obviously you have to be worried about like that return Thunderbolt or whatever, because obviously it base 100. Oh, wow.
Oh,
Oh,
Zapkin enough 173 special attack, and then
took it well.
knocks off Slackberry.
Zapkin is
Was-
100% to para, right?
yeah.
It's guaranteed
Yeah,
para,
it's a
but 50% to
chance
hit. I'm more surprised. Electro Ball. I don't get that.
Circuitry is so
Because
slow.
usually if you use Zapkin, you use it with the blunder policy in order to get faster after a miss. And oh no. That's a bad move. I mean, you had Zapdos right there. It's not like that way you can play maybe some mind games about Earthquake or Stone Edge or whatever. Now you go Chansey, I don't think it's a good move. And then you just get knocked off, and that's a lot of damage. And even, why don't you go for the Wizard here? I don't.
It had a lucky punch instead of the Eviolite.
Yeah. And an Earthquake.
And I mean, another major talking point is that they're both YouTubers. Renk has, I think, like 1.5k subs, and Mike has 23,000. But Renk has the upper
And
hand when
now
it comes to Pokemon.
Earthquake very free here unless you go straight into Zapdos. I think if you really want to, go for the, oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, not looking good. Now you go, I think. You probably get HP iced here. What?
What?
Oh,
Oh.
what?
Is he not able to
Oh,
gamble
boy.
with the Hurricane?
Yeah, now you get out of here. Static paralysis, but I think it's a moot point here. Yeah, Clefable. Yeah, Clefable kind of just. You still need to come on. That's the team paralyzed, but even. I mean, you see here, Clefable's off. What? And that's it.
6-0.
Sheesh.
Still a championship level play from Renk. Questionable level play from Michael, if I'm being honest, but Renk campeón. Felicitaciones. Take me through it.
Nah, I mean, obviously, I think it was a good performance from my end. A few questionable plays on the side of Mike and also on the team building department. I think that made it so in the end, a lot of the preparation that I had prepared didn't actually see the light of day, which I was expecting to do a bit more with some of the things that I had planned for my team, but getting a result like this, it's obviously what matters to start off the tournament on a strong note. And yeah, after that, from Mike's point of view, we will be expecting obviously improvements along the way, because I actually think that he has quite a decent team, a very defensive team that I had to try and crank my way around. But yeah, I think that with some sloppy playmaking along the way made it a bit easier for me to actually get the victory in such a convincing fashion.
We also saw Chansey versus Landorus, just like in the final.
Indeed. Obviously, that was the matchup that ended up winning me the championship. And they meet up once again, and Landorus once again coming on top. different trainers this time around, or at least different trainer for Chansey. And yeah, the results that are being the same.
I wonder if Mike had Blizzard on Chansey for the Landorus T. We didn't see that come up though, but if that worked out, it would have been a good play.
Yeah, obviously, I think that was the intent on Mike's side. Yeah, ended up not coming through. So we have a few more battles to go. If we want to continue with Group C, we have Mats against Ayush, or second to last live battle for this stream. After that, we have AL against SAVUTIAN, and then 3 replays. But we actually have quite a lot of live battles on this one. But Ayush and Mats, you are free to set up for the next battle.
Yeah, I'm almost ready to send. Yeah, whenever I'll click challenge now. I have also, I think my lineup is delivered in Discord as well.
Yeah, I saw it. Let me just show it up real quick. I didn't get to show my lineup, my own, but I guess it doesn't really matter in the end. So let's see. Here is the Mats lineup, and we see that actually the Tomás Adolfo Ducó, the stadium in which this battle is taking place, is in the background. Team Mats rocking with Infernape, Empoleon, Thunderous Therian, Torterra, Ditto, and Granbull. So a lot of familiar faces, especially in the side of Infernape and Empoleon for Team Mats. But yeah, a lot of newcomers. I'm especially intrigued to see that Ditto play, because I think it's one of the most interesting picks in the entire draft.
He's got that Fire, Water, Grass core. And as you said, it will be really interesting to see how he uses the Ditto.
For sure. We already have the link out. So we can go ahead and share the screen for the 4th live battle of the stream. Let's see what Ayush decided to come up with, as we already have the leads here, because Ayush has decided to send out the Curem against this Thunderous on turn 1. Ayush also having the Volcarona, the Weavile, the Skarmory, the Typhlosion, and the Galvantula. But here comes Ditto, transforming into this Curem, taking a lot of damage from the Freeze Strike, because remember that
moveset as well.
Yeah, you get the Curem's movesets, but remember that Ditto does not copy this HP stat, so this Ditto still has very few HP.
And you know, you can guess like the sort of EVs as well. Yes, baby.
Skarmory comes in, the Draco Meteor actually misses.
Would have done a decent chunk, even though it's resisted.
Yeah, obviously Skarmory more resistant on the physical than the special side. But yeah, that is a good switch either way from Ayush, and Mats is going to have to adapt, switch the Ditto out into the Thunderous as Skarmory sets up the rocks. That is a good move.
This is Matt's best Pokemon.
Yeah,
I think it's still a pretty good move for you, since you still have the option to go and switch out, but now...
Discharge, even though it's resisted, that's a decent chunk to go the Galvantula.
Agility.
Goes for it again, but the sticky webs have been set up. Now they're... Yep.
Curious about what the other moves are, since he went for Discharge, even though it was resisted. Is that his only attacking move, perhaps? Well, and Volt Switch.
It has Volt Switch, Defog, and Discharge, and a 4th move that we don't know about. I don't know if I agree with the order that Mats decided to do that. Going for the Defog before taking out the Galvantula gives Galvantula the chance to actually set up the webs again. And so that Defog was a bit of a wasted turn in the end. You did get rid of the rocks at least, but Empoleon comes in and is now trapped in the webs.
Here comes Typhlosion. You have
watch out for
Eruption and the Focus Blast you got to watch out for.
Yeah, Eruption would be a lot of damage. The switch into Thunderous, but this Eruption is going to do a lot of damage, and it takes down the Thunderous right away. A bit of a quick switch from Mats, not respecting that damage of the Eruption. And here comes Empoleon again.
And I don't see why you don't go Diddle there. Because you just are immune.
You go for the default, but now...
You go to Diddle, you're immune. It probably has Flash Fire, unless it doesn't.
Unless it's Blaze, yeah, it would be Flash Fire if you switch into the Ditto, but... Now this Empoleon has lost a lot of HP. It did get rid of the web, but but at what cost? Mats is already down his Thunderous.
He could have
and his
used
Empoleon is
competitive
almost
on
dead.
his Empoleon.
Could have used competitive on the
He could have
Empoleon
used
to boost
Defiant,
his
yeah.
special attack when you lose speed on the webs, but it had Torrent instead of competitive. That is something that Mats must have overlooked during the prep, and Empoleon goes down. Here comes Ditto to
Nice
transform
Ditto.
into the
And now
Typhlosion,
you pretty
but
much have to use Focus Blast if it's there.
yeah, but you kind of lose the
But still, Focus
surprise
Blast
factor.
will do a respectable amount of damage to everything not named Volcarona.
Scorching Sands is
Scorching
super
Sands.
effective, and this Eruption does not do a lot of damage. And there's the Flash Fire.
Zero.
Ayush not respecting its own Flash Fire against the Ditto.
Yeah, that's a blunder.
That's a blunder on Ayush's
and that's
side.
an even worse blunder.
Isn't it locked though?
It's locked.
It's choice.
Yeah, it's choice. The Ditto must be scarfed, so that switch into the Skarmory was actually good. And the rocks now set up in front of this Crumble. Let's see what Crumble can do, because Mats opted for the switch into the Typhlosion. The Fire Punch takes the Flash Fire. Great awareness from Ayush. The overheat is a lot of damage with the Flash Fire. He's able to take out the Crumble in one hit. And Ayush has taken control of this game.
I think there's room for Infernape now. Here we go.
He doesn't
Infernape
have a
comes
fighting
out.
resist.
Yeah, no fighting receipt. Here comes the
He
Rock
does
Slide.
have
He's able
it's
to take out.
Volcarona.
Yeah, but now that Mats has revealed Rock Slide, he has 3 Pokemon that are weak to Rock Slide, 2 Ice types and Volcarona.
Rock Slide
Rock
won't
Slide-
Oko.
Yeah, probably won't Oko, but if Infernape has close combat, he could take out his Kyurem right now. Kyurem surely has Earth Power to fire back, so if this is Scarfed Kyurem, perhaps, is what I'm wondering from Ayush, because he opted into this switch. But Infernape has the capability to still win this game for Mats. Draco Meteor
It isn't a
misses!
miss.
It is a Scarf, but
No.
Mats goes for the Sword
No,
Stance.
that's such a
Instead of
fumble.
trying to attack, the Draco Meteor connects this time around and
no.
takes out the Infernape.
Terrible
Oh my
play.
gosh. Mats had actually dodged the Draco Meteor, but got greedy with the Sword Stance instead of trying to take
And I
out the
think now,
Kyurem.
if you're Yachi Berry with Torterra, then you pretty much have a very free Shell Smash.
No, because I think Ice Beam kills through Yashiberry.
No, but I think
But
this
he's locked
Kyurem is
Draco.
scarfed because it's
It's
faster
scarf
than
locked
Infernape.
Draco.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah. But then the Yashiberry doesn't matter.
I think that if you are Mats, you have to go into Torterra and Shell Smash. However, he goes into the Ditto, transforms into the Kyurem, but copy your
boy.
stats drops. So this Ditto is actually quite weak. There's a free switch into the Volcarona, and the Draco Meteor is not going to do much with the stats drops.
And now Quiver Dance for the win.
Man,
Yeah.
game's over. You don't even need to Quiver Dance.
Win. Draco Meteor does. If he had gotten a crit with Draco Meteor, that could have been the kill, but instead goes for the Fire Dance, gets the special attack boost while taking the D2 out. And Torterra is the final Pokemon. Volcarona should be faster and has a special attack boost to benefit and do more damage with this super effective Fire Dance to try and close out this game. As long as it doesn't miss, it should be the win for Ayush. And even then, that Choice Scarf Kyurem has the game in the bag against his Torterra, which is quite weak to the Ice type. There were a few fumbles along the way, but I think that Ayush overall dominant performance. And Mats, there were opportunities for him to get back into the game. It wasn't meant to be. The Fire Dance comes through, takes out the Torterra, and Ayush picks up a 4-0 win over Mats.
Disappointing. I expected slightly more from Mats.
I mean, we can hear it from him. Mats, thoughts on that starting battle?
Yeah, I feel let down. I felt like it was going pretty well to start with, and then around turn 10, I made some errors which ultimately put me in a losing position. And then a few pieces of my plan slipped away, and I wasn't able to put it all together. It's a tough one to take, and I have to turn it around against the finalists next week. Although I was in a similar position and I saved myself, so I've got some experience to look back on. But yeah, yeah, very, very disappointed in myself.
It was a bit of a tough one. We know that Ayush is quite a strong trainer. AL has said so himself, and we saw a few of his battles. I think that Ayush is potentially a dark horse to win the entire thing, so no shame in losing to him. Can I ask specifically what the thought process was when Infernape went for Sword Stance instead of attacking the Kyurem?
Well, I wasn't expecting. I wasn't sure whether a Drain Punch would have got the instant knockout, and also Sword Stance would have also helped me longer term as well. So I went for. I don't know whether to say a gamble or not, but I went for the Sword Stance for those reasons.
Matt,
Didn't you have close combat?
No, not this time.
Matt, I would like suggest you to use close combat instead of Drain Punch, because Infernape is not that bulky of a Pokemon. And also use Mach Punch on Infernape. It could kill the Weavile.
Never got to test out that scenario, but Drain Punch and Fire Punch are boosted by Iron Fist, and I suppose I had in mind that Infernape was going to have a bigger role, so therefore using Drain Punch would help facilitate that, and whereas close combat will lower the defenses.
It's not that frail. It's quite frail of a Pokemon. So the stat drops don't really matter.
Yeah, I am the same note on that, but obviously you live and you learn. This whole tournament is about learning and improving as Pokemon trainers. I think that we've seen a long journey for a lot of people. And we don't have much time to dwell on that battle because we already have to jump into our fifth and final live battle of the day. That doesn't mean it's the final battle of the day because we still have 3 replays to go over. But for now, we can jump onto this battle that is going to be the starting point for
Should I
Group
leave
D.
the stream?
Let me just put you in the background, don't worry. Between AL, returning champion from Season 2, after taking a break in Season 3, comes back with a vengeance, running a team with Alakazam, Tapu Lele, Hawlucha, Incineroar, Gorebyss, and Among Us, while SAVUTIAN is rocking with Regice, Yuxi, Toxapex, Shedinja, Mimikyu, and Tyranitar, as we see Tapu Lele and Mimikyu as the leads.
A very offensive team against a defensive one.
For sure. Trick being used and the Iron Ball being tricked into the Incineroar. So now this Incineroar is going to be super slow, and Mimikyu has covered the leftovers. But I don't think that you mind being slow on Incineroar. It's a Pokemon that's there to kind of click knockoff, click parting shock, just distribute intimidates. The Will-O-Wisp misses on the Tyranitar is big because landing that on the Tyranitar and cutting its attack in half would have been massive. And now Incineroar, which is super slow, is staring down a Rock Slide coming his way.
No rock resist.
No rock resist is massive. But the Cell Rocks are set up and the close combat is there. The Choppleberry, however,
good prep,
allowing Tyranitar to resist the fighting type move. Yeah, good prep, as Seb was stating, and now this Incineroar has lowered its own defenses. And there's a chance for Tyranitar to now get the kill on this Incineroar, which is also super slow with the Iron Ball, and you got the rocks on the way out. But like you were saying, I don't know if it's worth losing almost your entire health on your Tyranitar when AL doesn't have a rock type resist. I feel like keeping this
especially
Tyranitar
also when you need to use it for Alakazam.
Exactly, yeah, it's
And you
your
burned your Choppleberry on that.
it's your only Psychic type immunity against a team that is clearly centered around the Psychic terrain with
Well, there's
Alakazam
also-
and Lele.
There's also Shedinja too.
Shedinja comes in, but here's Hawlucha. Hawlucha consumes the Psychic Seed to boost its special defense, and surely this is also unburdened, so it will also boost its speed after dropping its item.
Hawlucha is
so this-
incredible against SAVUTIAN's team.
Yeah, and this Howlucha is now incredibly fast. It's a flying type, so it surely has a move that can hit Shedinja. I am expecting Shedinja to be holding the Focus Sash to be able to take one hit at least, but I don't know if there's much that the little bug can do in this situation. Especially with the special defense boost, that's great against the Regice and the Yuxi. We'll have to see what Savutian
Well,
can
there's
actually...
also Toxapex you can go to. And it's a very
Toxapex
great
is
wall.
there. It is the PAX.
I don't think Howlucha learns Zen Headbutt, so Yuxi.
Acrobatics is going to
Acrobatics.
do a decent chunk. I would have expected more damage considering it's boosted by not having the item anymore. And it's also
It's the
stab.
speed that gets boosted. Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah, but acrobatics power gets
Yeah.
doubled after you lose your item. But Yuxi, incredibly tanky as well, so a good switch from Savutian. Howlucha is still going to be faster because of Unburden, but it probably doesn't want to tank Psychic in Psychic terrain. So here comes Incineroar. The Zen Headbutt, yeah, tanked pretty easily by the Dark type.
I think now
They
here
still-
you go
Mhm.
to Toxapex.
Potentially, if you get called on the close combat switch,
And not
the
only
Tyranitar
that-
could be really
And
bad.
not only that, Howlucha has lost its speed boost. But it's probably a moot point since everybody else is slower than it regardless. But
Yeah, Savutian's team is pretty slow overall. The U-turn, however, allows Yuxi to get out of dodge and do a bit of damage to the Incineroar. Now
Looking
Savutian
at
knows that...
Savutian's team, I just don't see a single win condition.
Yeah, it's a lot of tanky mons, but no one who can actually do the damage. The Rocky Helmet has been knocked off the Toxapex, and so that's not a tool at its disposal anymore. And even if you can...
Gorobus even hit. I think there's a way you could win. But can Gorobus even hit the Ninja? Not without special hidden power move.
Scald is not even enough to take out the Incineroar, and Toxapex
But
is
now
going to
it's
eat
still
another
it's
knock
another
off
free
Scald.
Scald. Recovers
No,
back to full.
Recovery is a
then
good move.
Yeah, he's
Incineroar
just
is
Scald
attacking.
taking a lot
again.
of damage.
You
Good
get
move
the
from
free
Savutian,
switch.
and that's the first knockout. AL just deciding that Incineroar with the Iron Ball not useful anymore. Decides to let it go down. And here's Tapu Lele setting up the Psychic terrain once again. And I believe,
Interesting.
Now
Nick
you switch
game.
out. Now you switch out again.
if I'm not mistaken, this Tapu Lele is holding the terrain extender because that Psychic terrain lasted the entirety of the 8 turns. So, bit of an interesting adaptation right there on the item choice to make sure this Psychic terrain stays on the field for as long as possible. Psyshock
no.
comes out, lots of damage on the Toxapex, but not enough to take out the kill. And yeah, you get
You
to
knock
knock
off
off
the
that
terrain
terrain
extender. Now you
extender.
switch out for sure.
Yeah, heal with the Regenerator. Shadow Ball comes out, but the Disguise is going to tank it, so this Mimikyu is not going to take damage for now. But now with that Disguise broken, Mimikyu is vulnerable.
And now you have to pray to take a Play Rough or a Shadow Claw pretty well.
That is if Mimikyu is even faster than Lele. It should be if it's max
It should
speed.
be.
If this Mimikyu is max speed, it should be faster than the Tapu Lele. And a Shadow Claw, I believe that it should be enough. Tapu Lele is not the bulkiest of Pokemon on the physical side.
Savutian is actually leading on paper, but feels like AEL has the upper hand.
Like you are saying, like the lack of win condition makes it so it actually feels so hard to see Savutian actually getting back into this game because Tyranitar lost so much health and he was both his psychic immunity and his rock type damage. And so even this Tapu Lele has Psyshock over Psychic, so Regice, which would normally be a specially defensive Pokemon, does not tank the Psyshock very well because it hits your physical defense instead of your
It's
special
just
defense.
taking a while. Come on. It's taking a while. You
No,
gotta have patience. You know how Omi has long meetings? Sometimes I do too.
No, I think it's a good that trainers are actually trying to figure this one out because it's a pivotal turn. The battle could be decided on a few turns, so just taking their time trying to make the best decision possible. I don't think it's an easy position for either one of them to be. Like we were saying, this Mimikyu should be faster, but it decides to switch into the Oxy, predicting the switch into the Among Us. So it's actually a good position for Savutian once again, and AL doesn't have the Incineroar to tank the Zen Headbutt anymore.
Yeah, it doesn't
although
actually
he
really
still
have a good Zen headbutt switch. Even
Yeah,
now,
I'd
still
just
have the
stay in
two
and click
types.
Spore. Even you can survive one Psychick hit and then heal with Regenerator. Yeah.
You can, yeah, and the Rocky Helmet and the
Spore.
Spore comes through. As Sev called it, that is a good move, and Yuxi has been put to sleep. Even got some Rocky Helmet damage on the way out, and yeah, Amungo's tanking this one pretty well and has Regenerator to heal itself.
but there
after
isn't really
switching
much
out.
Amungus can do. You probably just switch.
Yeah, you probably just switch and try to rely on. I mean, Yuxi is guaranteed a turn to stay asleep for the next turn. Savutian decides to switch out
Wait
to
for
the
Regice.
Regice as Gorevis comes in. I wonder
I don't
if
think it's a-
Regice
I
has
don't think-
Thunderbolt.
Oh,
There's a Shell
just go
Smash.
There's Shell
shotgunning
Smash.
the Shell Smash.
If there is
Goes to wipe
Thunderbolt
her.
right here, there is Thunderbolt, but it's not enough to pick out the knockout.
Oh,
but
the
he gets
para!
It's a para.
paralysis. The para is huge to try and slow down. Gorevis is still faster and gets a surf off, but
Yeah.
Regice is able to take the knockout with the Thunderbolt, and Savutian is 2 Pokemon up. This
Very-
Alakazam has Magic Guard, so it doesn't take
Far
damage
too
from the rock.
preemptive setup attempt there.
Yeah, I do think that AL just rushed it there. And that now Gorevis is a win condition that AL doesn't have at his disposal. If this
now it
Alakazam
doesn't
has
look
Side
like-
Shock, or
I mean, I
Focus
think
Blast,
Alakazam is AEL's last win condition now.
I mean, yeah, like how Lucha has lost his speed boost, even though, like you were saying, probably how Lucha is faster than everything, but it doesn't
Lucha's
match
fast
up
and
well
everything,
into
but I
the,
don't think it can break through.
yeah, you cannot break through the Yuxi, the Mimikyu. The Toxapex has healed itself a little
Endure.
bit. Endure comes in. Interesting choice. It manages to survive the
Ooh.
hit. I wonder what that does in this next turn. You probably still... I mean, Alakazam is still faster. I guess you bought yourself an extra turn. Costa
tough
Berry
that-
moves faster. That's amazing.
Yeah,
Incredible
great
tech.
play.
Incredible preparation from Savutian. Regice goes down, but gets a paralysis off.
But now,
On the
you can
Alakazam.
bring Alakazam down to the sash.
Shadow
oh,
Sneak
no
gets
sash.
a critical
Ooh,
No
hit.
sash.
wasn't
But
an instant
Alakazam is so
one-shot.
very frail physically. And I'm surprised no focus sash for Zam there. Was he Life Orb or?
Regardless
Maybe
what
it's
happens,
maybe it's Life Orb on the Magic
Savution
card.
is exceeding expectations.
Yeah, we could be on the verge of a massive upset right here. Savutian up 5-on-3 against AL.
He can't use Spore again because of Sleep Close.
Yeah, there is Sleep Close, so you cannot actually click Spore again. Yuxi is already the Pokemon asleep of choice for Savutian. I don't know if there's much that Mimikyu can do in front of this Amungus, though.
I think
So
he
yeah,
switched
it's
here.
just going to switch. Sludge Bomb
Sludge Bomb.
does a bit of
And I
damage,
think,
and the
well,
leftovers...
I think the
are gonna
Shedinja
work.
could have just totally blocked them as well.
Yeah, I don't think that... I think that how Lucha should be the only one who can touch Shedinja, so I think that if Savutian manages to take...
No, but I think he has
Oh,
Shadow.
Lucha
He has
out.
Shadow Ball. He has Shadow Ball on top of
Lele
it.
has Shadow Ball, you're right. So no, that's not a win
But the thing
condition
is
either.
that you still have Mimikyu, which outspeeds even without, and you could probably do 50% with like Play Rough.
Yuxi has taken its guaranteed turn of sleep, so any turn now it could wake up. The Psychic terrain has been set back up. Now it will only be up for 4 turns because the terrain extender was knocked off. And we have to see Topulel is going to have to put in a lot of work to actually bring this one back for AL. Seeing an amazing battle here in our 5th battle of the tournament. Let's see if Savutian can close this one out, of if our Season 2 champion can bring it back. It would be amazing for the standings of the groups. Here's the Shadow Ball. Another one is not going to be enough, but Yuxi stays asleep. Now Yuxi has a 50% chance to wake up on the second turn of sleep.
If he's able to get a U-turn off, then it might be in range for Play Rough.
Potentially, yeah. You could actually just click Play Rough. It decides to switch into the Tyranitar to tank the Shadow Ball. Gets the special defense drop. That's not great because there's a
But
Moonblast.
I don't think it really matters because of... Yeah, but yeah, it doesn't really matter because you
Yeah,
just go down from Moonblast, exactly.
Yeah, Tyranitar was
Now surely
getting
you go
much
back
done.
to Mimikyu and Play Rough.
Goes into the
Or
Yuxi,
not.
though. Back into the Yuxi. Now, Yuxi, like we mentioned, has a 50-50 chance to wake up this turn. It's the second
Or
turn
not,
of
but
sleep.
I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't get why you would switch into Tyranitar just to get yourself into the same position as before. You could have done anything with that turn. You could have gotten more Regenerator recovery on Toxapex, or I don't know, put someone else in a better position, maybe Mimikyu, but we'll have to see what the move is from Savutian, and if AL, he's only one Pokemon behind, and this Tapu Lele is very threatening, same as the Hawlucha, and Among Us is still there to support. This battle is far from over. Very tense. Both trainers just taking their time on this one. This could be the pivotal turn that decides it all.
I mean, they're still way in for both teams, even if no matter what happens.
Yeah, obviously. But already a great showing from Savutian on Matchday 1. If he could close it out with a victory over AL, it would shake the landscape of this group massively, because we have to remember that Spectre and Willow are also in this group.
Wake up!
Yuxi does wake up, goes for the knockoff, but
goes for
that
knockoff. It's
knockoff
still
is not
damage.
doing...
It's enough damage, and you have in your carte blanche to Shadow Sneak.
You are, yeah. Yuxi just goes down to the Shadow Ball. It's a 3-on-3, but this Tapu Lele has taken a lot of damage, and the terrain is not here anymore.
Hell, you can
So
even
you can actually Shadow
with
Sneak.
Shedinja.
You can actually Shadow Sneak because there's some Psychic terrain.
But the thing is that I don't think you want to Shadow Sneak with Shedinja because you have a Mungus with the Rocky Helmet.
So he goes into the Mimikyu, which also has the Shadow Sneak. But I think that...
But also
the
has
switch into
more
Among Us is
damage
great
with the
switch.
Play Rough.
Can he afford a Swords Dance?
Provided
Let's see. No, he went for the Shadow Sneak, takes damage.
And Amoongus can put something to sleep again.
Yeah, for free, because now that Yuxi has gone down, there's a new Pokemon that you can put to sleep. If you're AL, definitely bringing this one back. Like you were saying, Savutian got himself to a good advantage, but if he doesn't have a win condition to actually close out the game, a big damage dealer, I don't understand the pick of Shedinja if you already have Mimikyu. What does it even do? That's my main question mark on Savutian's prep. What is the point of Shedinja? Maybe he can prove me wrong. And we'll have to see, because there's no way you one-shot this Among Us, so something's going to sleep. Guaranteed.
I mean, well,
at this moment,
I think Shedinja would have blocked Gorbis. And probably it's a good pivot if you're expecting like a Psychic type move, and then you can scout ghost moves again.
I wonder if you switch into Shedinja just so that it's the one that takes the sleep, and then you have your other two Pokemon to play around. But even then, that's very, very difficult to play around if you're Savutian. Maybe you just switch into the Toxapex, get some Regenerator recovery, but you go to sleep. That's another option. I think that if Mimikyu goes to sleep, it's very difficult for Savutian to make a comeback.
And Toxapex actually does not have much help. So you might want to switch it in just so we can take the sleep, and then take the sleep, get back, and regenerate twice or something like that.
Here comes Shedinja. Sludge
Bomb,
Bomb, immune to the Wonder Guard, yeah. So not going to be doing any damage.
Does he have
and I doubt that Among Us has anything. I mean, yeah, but Shedinja cannot actually damage this Among Us with a contact move, because it will go down to Rocky Helmet.
Oh, true.
So unless Shedinja has a move that doesn't make contact, he
I'll
cannot actually touch this Among Us.
I know Shadow Sneak is physical, but is it contact as well?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it is. Will-O-Wisp comes out just passive damage, but there's the Toxic, and the Toxic does take out the Shedinja. The only 1 HP that it has goes down to that move. And that is the kill for the Among Us. And here comes Toxapex. It healed a bit with the Regenerator, but it's still in a third. There's a recovery. It's pretty free, but now you're taking a nap. That does mean that Mimikyu is now immune to the sleep, but Savutian is down to his final 2 Pokemon, and the Psychic terrain is going to be back up. Yeah, and with the Psychic terrain, you cannot actually
Shadow Ball. Oh boy.
Side Shock right away, but Toxapex wakes up. No, but he didn't go for the kill.
Oh boy.
Decides to heal up. Now, it should be a roll.
If you switch out, you're back to full.
No, but you cannot switch out into your Mimikyu right now. I think that Toxapex has to try and go for the kill right now. That Psyshock
Yeah,
is
so
66%, so it might be a roll to kill from this range. It's gonna come
It
down
could be
to
a
the
roll
wire.
because wait. Can you scroll back up and see how much damage the first shot Psyshock did?
It did 66. It's right here.
No, the first one at the very start of the game.
Oh, I don't know about that. Like,
Yeah, go down, down, down.
when did it
down.
even hit Toxapex? 74. Oh, it's
74.
definitely a range. It's definitely a range. This Psyshock could definitely kill. This must have been a very low roll. Going for the recover didn't seem like the right play right there. You managed to get the wake up, but you recover. But now this is basically a 50-50, considering that maybe 66 was a low roll and 74 a high roll. This Psyshock may kill the Toxapex. There's the Psyshock, and it gets the crit, so we will never get to know. Skips through the range with the...
And I think here you have to...
You cannot Shadow Sneak. You cannot Shadow Sneak in Shadow Terrain. Mimikyu did survive.
I think you had to Sword Stance there. You had to.
No, but if you Sword Stance, you just go down to the second Shadow Ball anyway, and yeah.
You're faster. Your Sword Stance you faster, and then you can go and try to...
Oh, he was faster. There was absolutely no reason to Shadow Sneak if you were faster. You just pressed it out of instinct, and now you don't have enough HP to actually get the job done. You're actually going to sleep. That's going to be it. AL actually managing to bring this one back. Down 3 against 5. SAVUTIAN was on the verge of victory, but didn't have the... Yeah, we know that SAVUTIAN is actually playing from work. Shadow Sneak comes out, but it's not going to be enough. The Sludge Bomb comes through, and AL has picked up the win in this first match day against SAVUTIAN. A great battle once again. Wow. Incredible performance, boys. AL, are you here, champ?
Oh, yes.
Walk me through.
That was unexpected, to say the least. Things didn't go my way. Like with the... Did the crit matter on the Shadow Sneak on the Alakazam? Or...
No, certainly not, because Alakazam is very weak on the physical side.
Yeah. So, yeah, but then that Willow miss also, yeah. I am quite rusty. I might get exposed later on against you, probably Spectre, or against Willow. Let's see next week. Well played to SAVUTIAN. I didn't expect that from him at all.
Yeah, closer than I thought.
I had a lot of checks for the Shedinja. I had Shadow Ball on Gorbis, Alakazam, and Tapu Lele. I think every single mon of mine had coverage for the Shedinja.
Yeah, obviously, a Pokemon that can put you into checkmate if you cannot
really
hit
see
it.
how warping it can be sometimes.
Yeah, but in the end, it came down to the slightest of margins. Against SAVUTIAN, bringing the Shedinja was, even though it can put you into that checkmate position, bit of a weird pick considering you already had Mimikyu for that slot. And I think that in the end, when he was 5-3 up, SAVUTIAN didn't have enough in the tank to actually get it done. But congratulations to AL for turning it around.
Prep, like with the Custard Berry and the Iron Ball.
Yeah, and the Iron Ball with the trick. He also had the Custard Berry Endure Thunder Wave on the Regice to actually get the paralysis on the Alakazam. It was kind of huge. So a lot of great tech coming on from SAVUTIAN, but sadly it was not enough. But if we can expect this creative team building from him, it's just about cleaning up the battling mechanics, and I think he can cause an upset in this group for sure. So those were the 5 live battles that we have, but that doesn't mean that the action is over, but because we have 3 replays that we need to show. We're going to start with some action that happened in Group A as Steve takes on Doodle. The Season 1 champion plays against someone who has joined us ever since the first season.
Which he won.
Which he did win, precisely. So yeah, SAVUTIAN over here, yeah, I guess that playing at work must have been very, very distracting as well. Yeah, next time, like if you're at work on Saturday, you can just schedule your battle ahead of time, so you're not bothered by it. But it was still a good performance from you, nothing to be embarrassed about. We see the lineups. We see Steve rocking up with Latios, Vikavolt, Togeki's Superior from my team, Rotom Wash, and Armaldo, while Doodle has Heatran, Kartana, Hydreigon, Crobat, Chandelure, his favorite Pokemon, and Milotic. So let's see what unfolded on this battle. The debut for Doodle leads with the Kartana against the Superior, instantly switches out into the Crobat, which gets paralyzed by the glare. Rotom switches in to tank this Sludge Bomb, which does some decent damage. And there's a switch back into the Kartana, but Kartana is really, really frail on the special side. So even though it resists that move, it loses 50%. And even this critical hit, Smart Strike, does not do a lot of damage on the Vikavolt. The switch into the Heatran is quite easy, although the sticky webs go up, and that does mean that there's hazards on the field for Doodle. The Toxic on the Rotom is big. It's going to take some damage. There's a Hidden Power. It's super effective on the Rotom, but it's not enough to take it out. And Hydreigon is going to come in to tank the Hydro Pump. But the leftovers actually managed to keep Rotom alive for another turn as Dark Pulse takes the first KO and Doodle is on the lead. Here comes Latios. It actually manages to hang on against the Dark Pulse, and the Dragon Pulse takes out the Hydreigon back. And Steve has equaled the Pokemon tally. Surf is not enough to take out Heatran, and so the Flamethrower picks up the KO on the Latios, and Doodle is back on the lead. But this Heatran is very slow now. Not slower than the Armaldo, actually. Gets the Toxic and leaves the Stone Edge. And Doodle deciding to sacrifice the Heatran. Both players set up a layer of rocks. Another Flamethrower is going to come through and do a lot of damage on the Armaldo, which goes for the Rapid Spin, cleans the rocks, becomes faster, and surely now it's actually outspeeding this Heatran. The knockoff takes out that legendary Pokemon on Doodle's side, but this Toxic is doing massive damage. Milotic comes out. It's not competitive as well, so even though it's dropping speed, it's not boosting its own stats. Recover comes through, and that is an easy knockout with the poison. And Doodle is up 4 against 3. Superior goes for the glare, but Crobat was already paralyzed. Good switching from Doodle. And the Sludge Bomb super effective on the Togekis. Chandelure comes in with the heavy-duty boots, but takes a lot of damage from the Earth Slash. Manages to survive another one, but gets flinched. The Serene Grace from the Togekis coming in clutch to actually pick up that dunk on the Chandelure, and it's 3 Pokemon apiece right now. Another Earth Slash comes through, and the miss on the Toxic. Some unlucky plays now happening on the side of Doodle. Goes for the recover in front of the Superior. Once again goes for the glare. But Crobat once again there for the switch to tank that status condition. But gets paralyzed on the switch on the Vikavolt. Kartana comes in. But it's low. It's frail on the special side. And so this Volt Switch just takes it out. And suddenly Steve is on the lead. Togekiss comes in. Milotic is low once again. So this Togekiss is free to go for another Thunder Wave. Toxic comes through and it connects this time around. But that is a free switch into the Vikavolt. The recover does not get much value. Volt Switch is a lot of damage into the Milotic, more than half. Superior comes in, tanks the Scald pretty easily. Does get burned, but it doesn't matter on special attacker. Crobat switches in, and there's finally the Leaf Storm. Not a lot of damage, but boosting the special attack of the Superior. And gets behind the Substitute. Crobat gets paralyzed. And that does mean that Superior gets an extra move to go for the Leaf Storm. But Crobat actually has the Infiltrator ability to hit through the Substitute and take out the Superior. It's a 2 against 2. Roost on the Crobat makes it so it loses its flying weakness, and so it's able to survive that Volt Switch. A lot of good plays from Doodle, but 2 of his Pokemon are below half and paralyzed. And so the Earth Slash is enough to take out this Milotic, and it's down to his final Pokemon, which is the Crobat. The Earth Slash comes through, takes it out, and Steve has actually defeated Doodle 2-0 in this first game. Panel, what are we thinking about that one?
The paras were huge, but against someone on Steve's level, I'd still expect Doodle to prep and play to the point where almost any amount of hacks doesn't make a difference in the outcome. But fair play to Steve. It's a huge win, and now Doodle will have to beat Renk to have a shot at advancing.
Yeah, it puts a lot of pressure on Doodle for sure, and I think that we saw a lot of improvements from Steve compared to last season, where he was really struggling in the group stage. Team building made a few errors, and I think that in this one, his preparation for the most part was clean, and so was his play. Obviously, he got quite lucky at the end, but I think we cannot take credit away from Steve in that victory. And yeah, we're going to need to see better from Doodle if he wants to make it out of the group. Does anyone else on the panel have comments on that game?
Yeah, no, great win by Steve. Definitely a bit unfortunate with the hacks, but I think usually good prep usually will let you be able to avoid any of those sorts of situations. But of course, it's always a nightmare to face something like Togekiss, especially with all the paralysis and all of the sticky webs surrounding it.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Was there
We're gonna
anything
move-
Doodle could have done that would have meant he wouldn't have lost his Chandelier in the way he did? Because he hard switched it in before the flinch came.
Yeah. Well, Doodle did show his Chandelure spread afterwards, and it was quite a slow Chandelure. I don't know if it would have made a difference if it was. We don't know if the Togekiss was scarfed or not, but if it wasn't, there was a chance that max speed Chandelure actually outspeed Togekiss, and that way you cannot get flinched. Because some people may say cover cloak, but if you cover cloak, then you don't have the heavy duty boots and you're slowed down by the webs and hurt by the rocks. So covered cloak wouldn't have made a difference in that situation specifically. But even then, I think that he just didn't have enough answers into the Togekiss, which, it's a bit worrying because it's one of the main Pokemon that you have to worry about on Steve's side, and you have to respect the flinch strategies because it's a 60%. You're basically playing a coin flip every time it attacks you, and so it's not really on your favor if you try to play it that way. Massive congratulations to Steve on that one, but Doodle is going to have to show up big time in the next match day if he wants to have a chance at advancing from the group. We move on to Group C, where we have a battle between our finalists from last season, Titaness, going up against Slither. Titaness rocking up with his true and trusted core of Greninja, Garchomp, and Azelf, alongside new members like Malamar, Celesteela, and Zoroark, against Slither's Cloyster, Roserade, Yanmega, Lucario, Blissey, and Gliscor.
Despite Slither's inexperience, I will say that his team looks pretty good on paper, actually.
Yeah, I think that definitely Slither's draft is not one to be underestimated. We'll have to see how he actually performs in this battle against one of our stronger trainers. The leads are Lucario against the Greninja, has the protein, so it's going to do a lot of damage with the extra sensory. And after changing into a Psychic type, it actually resists the power-up punch and another extra sensory. It's enough to bring the Lucario down. No switches. And so Titaness is just able to switch into the Celesteela free in front of this Yanmega, who goes for the Ancient Power. Not a lot of damage into the Celesteela, which is just so tanky. And while
this
you're
is
getting
a losing
fast,
battle. Maybe he's fishing for the Ancient Power boost, but it's only a 10% chance.
It's only a 10%. You cannot rely on that.
There's no tinted lens either.
No tinted lens, and so there's the switch into the cloister, but it's a bit of a quick switch because the flamethrower does over half, and this icicle spear, even with the skill link, is not going to be nearly enough to take down the Celesteela, and the flamethrower is enough to pick up the second KO for Titaness. The beast boost coming through, boosting that defense. Yeah, you go for the sword stance as the Leech Seed comes through, so this Gliscor getting stronger, but the Brick Break does nothing, even at +2 against this +1 from the Celesteela, and it's another losing battle. Even with the Poison Heal, you're not doing enough. Another Flamethrower comes through, but the Leech Seed recovery, even if you're healing with Poison Heal, you're not going to get anywhere. The Brick Break does a quarter of Celesteela's HP. Another Flamethrower is enough to pick up another knockout and boost its defense, and it's looking bleak. He does get the Ancient Power boost. He boosts all of his stats, and the Leech Seed misses. So now it's down to Yanmega to actually make something happen. He does 25% with another Ancient Power, but the Leech Seed does connect now. And I don't think that there's much that this Yanmega can actually do, especially if Celesteela just goes for the Protect, waits for the Leech Seed, and waits for the Toxic to tick down.
I'm curious to see how Titaness uses Zoroark with its unique ability.
Obviously, the illusion, being able to hide behind someone. Hyper Beam, of all moves, coming through from the Blissey, does not do more than 20%. Has to recharge this turn. And yeah, that's a lot of healing from the Leech Seed because of how much HP actually the Blissey has. It's able to heal itself with the Soft Boiled, but the Toxic and the Leech Seed is actually racking up. You may protect, but that actually plays up against you because you're losing more HP than you're gaining with those leftovers. Yet another Flamethrower comes through. Yes, you can heal yourself with Soft Boiled, but you're losing this battle. This Celesteela is +2 defense and at max HP.
No Seismic Toss either. It's not like you can even force any damage regardless.
Yeah, Natural Cure finally comes through. The Flamethrower does half health to this Rose Raid. The Hidden Power is not even super effective. You manage to survive another Flamethrower, but for what?
I think here you probably want to switch in and hope for a Flamethrower burn.
Perhaps, but you didn't have Flamethrower. This is going to be all she wrote, even with the Toxic miss.
He's sweeping with a tank.
Yeah, Titaness just sweeping with a tank because the leader didn't have anything to break through it. So it's a slow burn. You're basically dying of 1,000 paper cuts. Here, Slither. The Hyper Beam even misses to add insult to injury. But with the Leech Seed and the Toxic already, it's a ticking time bomb on this Blissey. Puts the Blissey on a timer. And yeah, the Flamethrower just slowly adding some damage. The Protect just gonna buy a few more turns, but this battle is already decided. There's nothing that Slither can actually do to win this one, considering that he doesn't even have super effective moves to hit the Celesteela. Already 30% from the Toxic. It's not gonna be enough. The Hyper Beam comes through, but this next turn of Leech Seed and Toxic damage is gonna be enough. Blissey goes down and Titaness claims a 6-0 victory over Slither to kick off his second season in the Pokemon tournament. Very dominant from Titaness overall, but I think that Slither was definitely underprepared for the Celesteela. I'm shocked to see that one, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, you of course expected Titaness to win. The 6-0 was far from inconceivable too, but the fact that he did it with a tank is noteworthy.
Definitely. And also a good thing for Titaness is he didn't even have to reveal most of his prep. So now going into his next battle against Mats, Mats doesn't really have a lot of information on Titaness's team and what his plans are because it was such a dominant win that Celesteela was basically the only one who got to play in that battle. I'm going to have to see what happens because Mats, after losing today, is going to have to basically beat Titaness to keep his tournament hopes alive. And obviously, we're going to have Titaness on the stream next time around. So I expect that battle to be on stream as well. And obviously, Slither on the same page has to beat Ayush if he wants to keep his tournament hopes alive. We have our final battle of the day. It has been a long match.
Can I add something?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Of course, statement win by TE Tanessa. Not a lot to add on the battle from what you guys have said, but it's a scary position for me. But but there is a silver lining being I am actually looking forward to preparing against this Celestia and some of his other Pokemon too. So once I've mentally recovered, it's going to be interesting to prep for our next battle.
Yeah, and here we have the final game of the match day. 8 battles we had today, so we've been going long for this first stream. Thank you so much to everyone who sticked to the end. It's Spectre against Willow. Spectre obviously made his debut last season. Willow making his debut this season. And 2 trainers that I'm very excited to see. Spectre rocking with the Dragonite, Nidoqueen, Moltres, Florges, Sceptile, and Keldeo. Meanwhile, Willow has Starmie, Crocodile, Quillfish, Como, Magearna, and Smeargle. Spectre, what were your expectations and what was the thought process behind the lineup that you selected?
I think really, well, you're not seeing it here, but the thing I was most surprised about was not seeing Thunderous there, which I thought really would be this big breaker. I had a lot of preparation and text specifically for that because I knew that like it would be able to wreak a lot of havoc upon my team. But so seeing that not there definitely was like a huge sigh of relief. Although in view Smeargle being there, that was pretty worrying.
Sev, looking at both lineups, how do you think this battle could play out?
Yeah, I mean, I love Spectre's team. It's just all around very solid. It's got defense, it's got offense. So, I mean, looking at the teams, I definitely favor Spectre. But Starmie is one of the best rapid spin users. Crocodile can be lethal too, but I mean, Spectre's team is much better, to put it simply.
We'll have to see if that translates into the battle. We jump into the final battle of match day 1 as Smeargle makes his appearance on the lead against the Nidoqueen. The sticky webs already set up on the side.
I don't know if I agree with shotgunning hazards when the defog users are still alive.
Yeah, that's potentially something to consider, like Willow just kind of rushing with the sticky webs. The Stone Axe comes through to do a bit of damage and set up the rocks. Obviously, one of the gimmicks of Smeargle is that it actually learns every single move in the game, and so it's able to use moves, combinations of moves like the Destiny Bond to actually bait the Earth Power. And so even though Smeargle goes down, he set up the hazards and takes Nidoqueen down with it. And so it's a Pokemon apiece here for each of our contestants. The Quillfish comes into the Dragonite. The Dragonite actually has the heavy-duty boots, takes a paralysis. Both trainers actually trading Thunder Waves.
Interesting.
And both Pokemon paralyzed here in this.
Is that a defensive Dragonite?
Seems so. Like that Sludge Wave did absolutely nothing. So I'm guessing it's breaking the multi-scale. Spectre expecting the switch right there. The Thunder Wave lands into the already paralyzed Quillfish. But Moltres also has the heavy-duty boots. And even though you're setting up spikes, you're in front of a Pokemon that learns the fog, and suddenly all the work you put up with your Smeargle, the spikes, the rocks, the webs, they're all gone, and all you got was a paralysis on this Moltres. Scald comes through, super effective, but not a lot of damage. Quillfish, not the strongest of Pokemon, and the Scorching Sands, the super effective ground-type move, doing over half health on this Quillfish. You set up spikes again. Moltres gets paralyzed, which gives Quillfish an extra turn to actually act. But Quillfish is now the one who gets paralyzed, and so Moltres is able to go for yet another defog. The battle for the hazards has been quite ferocious so far. Quillfish gets paralyzed again, and the Scorching Sands are able to take it out. And Spectre is on the lead. But here comes Starmie against a paralyzed fire type, so the switch into the Sceptile is quite easy. The Hydro Pump misses. It wouldn't have done a lot, but still huge there. The Leaf Blade, this Sceptile actually being faster and one-shotting this Starmie, taking it out. And Willow is down to his final 3 Pokemon. The Sword Stance coming through, the Shift here coming through. Both players.
Does Sceptile have
setting
higher
out.
base speed than Stormy?
Yes.
That's actually a good question, but yeah, it actually does. The Earthquake comes through, but the Shuka Berry on the Magearna, able to tank that hit, and a second Ice Beam takes out the Sceptile, and with the Soul Heart, this Magearna is getting boosted up. Ice Beam comes through into the Moltres, but it does not take it out, and with the Flamethrower, Moltres is able to pick up the Revenge KO. Magearna actually not having anything to deal with the Moltres. As here comes Crocodile. It's a 4 against 2 in favor of Spectre. Scale Shot comes through. It's super effective. It only gets 2 hits, but Crocodile is going to be able to boost its speed. I'm going to see what he decides to go for. The Knockoff comes through. It knocks out the heavy-duty boots. The Ice Beam coming through from the special Dragonite, but it's able to get the Weakness Policy activated on the side of the Crocodile. And now this Crocodile is +1 speed, +3 attack. So it definitely has a chance to pull off a comeback. But the Keldeo is faster. It's actually faster and takes it out with the Secret Sword. I'm guessing that this Keldeo must be holding the Choice Scarf as it repeats the Secret Sword on the Como as well, which is the final.
Como can be set Gary when it sets up.
It does go for the Omni Boost, but it's not fast enough. It took out its own HP, and with another Secret Sword, Keldeo picks up the final knockout, and it's a 3-0 win for Spectre to start off his group.
Scarfed Keldeo is a great prep. It's I mean, Specs is usually more common, but it really paid off here to go with a Choice Scarf.
Yeah,
And I'm
definitely.
definitely worried about all like the ways that his team could boost speed. I actually was not expecting Scale Shot on the Crocodile at all. I was more willing to kind of like take a Rock Mood sacrifice so I could bring in Keldeo for free, but maybe I think I should have went directly to it there. But overall, I think that once Needle Queen went down, I definitely was a bit worried about how I would handle Quillfish pretty well. And Magearna. But I also am just glad that I was able to kind of just handle a lot of speed related things with Sceptile being able to go out there and just bring down Starmie, so I didn't have to worry about like doing 50-50s between like, oh, do I hidden power, do I Hydro Pump, etc., etc.
Yeah, no, it was amazing preparation. Like Seb was saying, let the Choice Scarf come in clutch, because that Crocodile was in a position to sweep the game back with the +1 speed, and the +3 attack would have done a lot of damage, same as the Como. But Keldeo coming in clutch with those final 3 knockouts, and Spectre picking up a much needed win to kick off the group. From the side of Willow, I think that he made a few rush decisions with the setup and with some of the moves with setting up the hazards, like Seb was pointing out. But it was overall a high-level battle, but we're going to have to see better from Willow in his next match day. As before we wrap up the stream, we're going to take a quick look at the standings. Obviously, there's only one match day so far, but we can still see some trends already starting to appear in Group A. After my 6-0 victory over Mike, I'm top of the group, but Steve is right behind me after his upset over Doodle. And so us two actually taking the lead in the group, while Doodle and Mike are in that elimination zone so far, but nothing decided yet. In Group C, we see that Titanes and Ayush have taken a lead, while Mats and Slither will have to crawl their way back in the second match day. On Group B, Elibungo and Sev, both actually tied on Pokemon difference. There's nothing to separate the two of you. Same with Psychick and Juliana. But both Elibungo and Sev taking a really good first step in the right direction when it comes to this Group B. And in Group D, obviously, Spectre with the comfortable win, while AL had to battle his way through Savutian. I think that Group D so far looks the most interesting, as we didn't see a single blowout in this group.
I mean, we call it Group of Death for a reason. I'm still not looking forward to playing either one of SAVUTIAN or AEL next week. It's still very much a group that's wide open. I feel like there's still like that risk I feel of being grouped, even though I'm on top of the group right now. Because I think everybody else is still a very well built team and stuff like that. So, but we'll see how it goes.
Definitely, yeah. Putting yourself into a great position to advance if you manage to win your next match day, which we're going to get into that now, because in Group A, match day 2 is going to feature Steve against Mike. Steve with a massive opportunity to actually go 2-0 up if he manages to get a defeat against Mike. Mike, who has to bounce back after his performance against me in this first match day. And then one of the feature matchups between two champions, myself against Doodle in La Bombonera. I'm going to have the home field advantage for that one, but I cannot take anything from granted because Doodle is a very strong trainer that has actually a positive record against me. And not only that, he's forced to win to keep his tournament hopes alive. So Doodle is going to have everything to play for in that match against me. It's going to be one of the highlights of next week's stream for sure. Over to Group B, we're going to have Elibungo against Sev, the two group leaders at the moment, playing in the Stadio Monumental, the biggest venue in the tournament. It's going to be another great feature matchup, while Juliana and Psykick will play
official bronze match of the last tournament.
That as well, the two people who lost in the semifinals. And meanwhile, Juliana and Psykick are going to have to battle to keep their tournament hopes alive in Group B. So a lot of things will be decided in that second match day. Over in Group C, Ayush and Slither have to battle their way through. Ayush with a great opportunity to go 2-0 up, while Slither has to bounce back from his loss to Titanes. Same with Mats, after losing to Ayush, has to play against Titanes after a dominant 6-0. After making the final last season, Mats has to pull up yet another upset to try and get his way back into this group. And finally, in Group D, we're going to have Willow against SAVUTIAN. Both the trainers that lost this weekend, they have to pick up a win to keep the tournament hopes alive. Meanwhile, Spectre against AL is going to be an amazing matchup to try and see who is the favorite to top that group, basically. So
this is probably the best match day.
I agree.
The group stage.
Yeah, a lot of the better matches ended up landing on match day 2, like me against Doodle, Seb against Eli, Spectre against AL, and then even then you have elimination matches like Mats against Titanes, like Psychick against Juliana, Willow against SAVUTIAN. So a lot is on the line on match day 2 already, which is very, very exciting. So it was a great opening match day. I want to thank everyone who stayed up until the end, 2 hours. That is what 8 battles of Pokemon does to you, especially with how many live battles we had. But thank you so much for sticking by. Does anyone have any closing thoughts before we wrap up?
There was going to be a lot of drama. There's going to be a lot of what ifs after this next match day. It's going to be so much fun. I'm not looking forward to prepping against AKL. I don't think a lot of people are looking forward to prepping to this match. I think we're all looking at everybody else's matches like, oh, that would be fun to watch, and then going back and being very worried about how we will perform against each other.
I second that.
Yeah,
I third
definitely.
that.
Definitely. We're all on the same page right there. Thank you so much to everyone who joined the stream, and thank you so much, obviously, to the panel who stayed up until the end. It was an amazing first match day, and the action has only begun. You have not seen anything yet. Thank you so much for sticking by. We'll be here at the same time, the same day on Saturday. Thank you so much for joining. Take care of yourself. See you next time. Peace out.
Peace.
Peace.